The renewed hope agenda of the President Bola Tinubu-led administration promises to improve access to capital as a strategy to boost economic growth. At a time when headline inflation was 22.41% as at May 2023, food inflation was 24.82%, interest rate at 18.5%, and the naira was about 460 naira to a dollar, although it had hit more than 750 naira in the parallel market. Efforts such as the formation of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee, access to credit programs for startups and MSMEs, as well as conditional grants to nano businesses should serve as the vehicle to achieve this. However, about a year later, the continuous hike in interest rate to tame inflation may have undermined the efficiency of the initiatives, as interest rates in Nigeria remains higher than most of its peers on the continent.
And what I've heard,
the sharp hike could be traced to the first major decision by President Tinubu.
No provision is there for fuel subsidy. The first subsidy is gone.
The sustenance of the subsidy removal is, however, in question, as the International Monetary Fund has suggested that it has been reinstated and will cost the country 8.43 trillion naira in 2024.
If naira has remained at 750 naira to a dollar, maybe even with movement in ice, you could still be buying fuel at maybe 700 naira, 650 or 700 naira. But today, Asian have moved to about back to 1,500 naira, and if you have to factor in that exchange rate, then you clearly admit that subsidy has crept back into the pricing of refined petroleum, particularly fuel.
The MPC chairman and governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The approach of engaging monetary policy to reduce inflation may be justified, but economists warn that in Nigeria's case, major drivers of inflation are controlled by the fiscal authority.
What are the critical factors in dealing with that? Yeah, the CBN might reach the limit of what it can do with monetary policy tools. There's a limit to that. If you check out, the statistics of it, what I found is in the region of 32-33% in terms of the impact of a hiking monetary policy rate on inflation rate. Look at the historical data, all right? So if that is the case, it means there are other factors that explain inflation in Nigeria.
While seeking ways to resolve the factors that make up the over 60% drivers of inflation, funding the budget through the domestic market may have been achieved, since hike in interest rate mostly translates to higher yields for treasury bills and bonds.
For the new domestic borrowing in the 2024 budget, which I said was 6 trillion naira, we actually have raised 4.5 trillion naira out of that. So it's not our money, you gave us money, and we'd like to thank you for that.
A more wholesome picture of the economy is not so pleasant for the real sector. The Chief Executive Officer of Coleman Wires and Cables, Mr. George Onofuokan, summarizes this by assessing efforts and results by the government.
Effort, I'll say they're getting it right on the effort. There'll be about 60-70% on the effort. On the result, I'll knock it down to about 50. The efforts are there, which is what is needed to be done is being done. The question is, how do you implement it? That is the result. That is where they lose the points. And they need to be a bit more consistent in balancing those results from the effort.
A wide perception for way forward as the country x-rays the activities of President Tinubu's leadership 1 year after includes a more coordinated operation of the monetary and fiscal authorities in the economy.
We should be seeing a lot more stability in our macroeconomic environment, starting with the FX environment. We cannot continue with this volatility. Secondly, we should see how we can reduce a lot of our imports. We should make a lot more progress in import substitution.
The countdown to the next May 29 begins as the administration of President Tinubu clocks 1 year. Economists and indeed all citizens are watching and counting the gains and pains that the administration will be remembered for. Imi John Mekwa, Channels Television News.